What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, taking a look at one of the silliest decks by far that I play in essentially all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I like to call it Boneless IDS. That's Invoked Dogmatika Shaddoll. Instead of using a normal summon Alistair, I run an alternate normal summon. And again, this deck is so dumb, but it is extremely fun to play. If you ever seen this before, I'll show it after the deck profile. I'll show some gameplay. So let's jump into it. So the Dogmatika package, Fleur, 1 copy of Dogmatika Maximus, and then 3 copies of Ecclesia. Pretty straightforward there. I do run 1 copy of the Iris Sword Soul. This is like kind of dumb, but it is fun. I think I just like this card, so I play it. Is really what it comes down to. It has a pretty interesting effect. You can bring it out from the deck. That's like the whole point. Playing Lulu Walleth brings that out. 2 copies of Parallel. I still run this at 3, but like it's not actually no reason. Like if you have Formud Skipper and like, oh, you have a copy of Parallel, you just don't search it, right? That's pretty much the only difference. Because it's not really something you want to see because your whole deck is like based around Skipper searching it anyways. 2 copies of Fenrir just to actually get free discard fodder with Signet Mining, which is really nice. Just another going second card. 1 copy of Rykart. This is like part of your combo, which you'll see in a second. 3 copies of Formud Skipper, which is the main play starter. You want to see this as often as possible. 3 copies of Ash, 3 copies of Effect Veiler, and then 3 copies of Droll. Just running those like high hand trap totals, you know what I mean? And you probably play like an Imperm in here too. Just like drop 1. Probably like, I don't know, Ash or drop a Droll and Lockbird. Because I do play Cross out in this deck too. 3 copies of Nadir Servant, 3 copies of Piri Res Map, 1 copy of Rival. This is again just like one of those Formud Skipper combos. 2 copies of Talons, 3 copies of Cross out. You need your Formud Skipper to go through. 1 copy of Reichphobia. It's just like a general searcher. 3 copies of Signet Mining, and then of course Shaddoll Schism. It's a floodgate deck. It's like an advantage floodgate deck. That's the whole point of it. 1 copy of the Titan Clad. This is just a good card to send to the graveyard. Obviously gets you Fleur. 1 copy of App Cologne, which of course helps you go into Winda. 2 copies of Elder Entity Nis. Definitely something you'll, for sure, you will want more than 1 copy of Elder in your extra deck. 1 copy of Garua. Helps you draw. It's also free a little bit with Maximus if you need that. But it's also a dark, which is important for Winda. There's actually not a lot of darks in this deck. You kind of have to outsource it from the extra deck unless you see Reichphobia, and then it's also dark. 1 copy of Lulu Walleth, talked about that. When Pegasus had a Nister, this is like you're out to very awkward things. Heat Soul, so this is like a whole advantage engine that you get to go through. 1 copy of SP Little Knight, 1 copy of IP Masquerena. The cool thing about IP Masquerena is if you do start your turn with Piri Res Map and you do Heat Soul twice, which you will be able to do, it is now, you are now at 2000, so you can switch this out for an IP. It's one more form of interruption. I'm sure I'll show it at least once. 1 copy of Lightheart. This is the card that you reveal off of Formud Skipper. 1 copy of Typhon, and then 1 copy of Abyss Dweller. The biggest problem when you play Dogmatika, I feel like most of the time, is that if your opponent has good stuff to send to the extra deck, to the graveyard, and like through the natural course of your combo, you have a way to stop that. So even if your opponent's playing Branded, you're going to dead those cards in the graveyard, which is really important. All right, so let me just jump over really quickly. Show some replays again. This is kind of, well, you'll see. So this is obviously a very good start, right? I have Fenrir, which Fenrir is good. And also I get free discard fodder with the Signet Mining. So that works out really well. You need to see this card literally as much as humanly possible. And it's not the best going second card or deck, obviously, because you just have this weak little normal summon that will get eaten, and you just kind of have to use your Dogmatika stuff to go past it. But this is the full combo, unless I mess it up. Like recently I've been like choking this combo so bad. Like here I did, right? I needed a Cybers monster. Again, it's very specific. Like you have to use the Arrival to bring something back. The reason you're going into Enforcer, it's a Cybers, and then your Parallel Exceed is a Wind monster. So that helps you go into Heat Soul. In this case, I didn't do it, but I'm still going to have a pretty good end board. Like, you're going to have a Floodgate, which is, like, amazing. Okay, like, that's a huge part of it. So, even though I did have a bad turn, my opponent doesn't have graveyard effects. He did have Forbidden Droplets there. It's fine. But, like, Winda is just so good. Like, it's literally, like, incredible. And then I'm just going to get rid of this. You can bring it back, which is fine, but yeah, it's not going to do much. And the fact that Reichphobia actually is like online, like you get to keep this on the field. Like if there are 3 or more defense position monsters anywhere on the field, you get to pop a card. So like the card has value after the search, which I really, really like. Let's see if I can actually do the combo this time. This looks like a little bit of an awkward hand. I can normal summon this, but yeah, I basically I'm just doing this so I can, you know, go into Enforcer. I had Parallel in my hand. So I kind of did the combo. I just did it a little bit backwards, I guess. I just didn't see Formud Skipper. Like, you don't normally get the opportunity to do it like this, but in this case I did. That sucks not to be able to use that other Fenrir, but I guess it's technically follow-up. I can get rid of that talent, so I didn't have anything. Good draw card. Of course, it's Formud Skipper. So I can draw next to it's Natty or Servant. But, you know, no matter what, like, it's just follow-up. There's nothing wrong with drawing cards. Yeah, Winda, man. Like, literally by itself. And that's just the nature of the card. It's just so funny. Like, Winda can, like, oh, you right, yeah, keep my board. Like, no, it's okay. Like, you can't. You still have to get around that. Just, like, on top of everything. Again, a little bit of an awkward hand. Yeah, he just ashes that, so that feels like a big waste for him. He does have the Imperm as well. I can still do this. I think the field spell isn't really going to do much for me. I can't go into, like, IP Masquerade, right, because this is a Link monster. But I'm at least, like, baiting out my opponent. Like, the thing that the advantage of this deck is your opponent's never, ever going to know what you're playing because it's just such a random deck. And again, it's all based around floodgates. You know, my opponent's going to special summon, and he's probably going to lose. Like, that's it. You can do whatever you want, but those cards aren't coming out. And I think I just have one more. So this is the Puri Res Map combo I was talking about, so that's really nice. I'm just going to take a look at his hand, you know, just rip another card out. I think it was... I don't remember if it was a hand trap or triple tactics talent, but you're not going to be able to activate it now. I didn't need to use Crossout. Actually, I was kind of holding out Crossout maybe for an Imperm or something that he potentially could have gotten off the top. But in this case, I do it correctly. So there goes Heat Soul. And you're going to see... Oh, that's right, because the Puri Res Map didn't go through. But if it did activate, I would be able to use Heat Soul and you go into IP Masquerade. Whatever that's worth. Of course, he's not going to have anything to send to the graveyard. And then, yeah, off the top. So the whole thing is, like, the reason that I run Ash, Ash, Effect Veiler, in Droll is if you get it off the top of Heat Soul, you get to use it immediately. That's, like, pretty much the whole reason my hand trap lineup is, like, specifically that. But this is, like, super duper full combo, right? My opponent can activate cards in the graveyard, which is important for Sword Soul. I'm getting another advantage. I'm floodgating him. So I have a lot of advantage there. It's just a random deck. It's so dumb, but I do enjoy playing it. But that's my most recent list. I've kind of cleaned it out, cut a bunch of, like, of the fat, and I've, like, lowered the ceiling maybe, but I've, like, raised the floor much higher. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Other than that's going to do it for today's video, and I will see you guys next time.